What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning on in. Appreciate it. And if you guys like these videos and you guys like the radio show, you can also watch the radio show. YouTube.com/theticketmiami is where you guys can find us. I'll put the link in the description so you guys can check that on out. And if you haven't done so here already, give us a subscribe, give us a like. You know the deal. I mean, everybody else begs you on this damn platform to do it. So why not do it here too, huh? Why don't we be shameless about it? So the big Heat news over the last 24 hours has been very, very... Whale phone is quiet right now, people, you know? Haven't had a lot of rings on this puppy. But they did officially announce Victor Oladipo yesterday. Victor Oladipo's deal becomes official with the Miami Heat. Pat Riley with the statement that, quote, Victor has showed his work ethic and determination to come back and help us win games at the end of the regular season and through the playoffs. We are delighted to have him back in a Miami Heat uniform. I think as a lot of Heat fans are. People were very, very positive about Victor Oladipo coming back. Vic had a, I don't know if it's his story. I don't know if it's because the Heat fan feels like they were pursuing Victor Oladipo for a long time. But there was a special connection, it felt like, with the Heat fan and Victor Oladipo. You had the chants going on this year. Oladipo. Oladipo. The crowd got into him. And sometimes some guys just have this. They just got a gravitas with Heat Nation faster than others. And people, I think, really dug his comeback story. It really was heart-wrenching to hear that, they botched his surgery. They messed up his leg. This is a guy who was one of the best players in the league. And you really want to see him come all the way back. He's certainly been circulating around Heat room. He was Donovan Mitchell. Before all this talk about Donovan Mitchell, Victor Oladipo was the Donovan Mitchell before Donovan Mitchell, with the guy that Heat fans really wanted to be part of this team for a long time, had the D-Wade ties, had the D-Wade comparisons, had the Dwayne Wade friendships. Hell, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, one of the games that Vic really shined in this year, D-Wade and Gabby Union were there courtside for it and got to see it firsthand, and certainly meant a lot to him as well. So Victor Oladipo being back, it really does, I think, please a lot of Heat fans. He talked a little bit about his interest and what he went through in free agency. Remember, we were looking back on some of these cryptic tweets with the lone wolf and you'll make them remember and all that. I was really wondering whether or not Victor Oladipo, I thought he was gonzo's. When you're getting all cryptic on the Twitter machine, sometimes it feels like a goodbye. And instead, he was just pointing at the fact that, look, he is battling some doubt from a lot of the league, and this is what he went through in his free agency.
Initially, going into it, of course, I would have loved to come back here, but free agency is free agency. You're not really sure. You're unsure. You have ideas, and you kind of have aspirations for certain things to go certain ways. But again, there's a little uncertainty that goes into free agency. But it was just the best deal for me, I feel like, and it kind of seemed like a lot of people were kind of shying away from me. So, I think that, the Heat was coming back here and playing with the Heat was the best option for me. And I'm looking forward to, running it back. I felt like we had a very good and strong opportunity to, make it to the finals last year.
So it is a bummer to hear from Vic when it's like, people are still hesitant to go out there and hesitant to give him a deal or give him something like that because of their question of the injury. This is a guy that had, it's crazy. You talk about when he first came back this year, they were talking about a cap of 15 minutes and and they were really, really strict on that. And, then he got a couple of games by the end of it where Jimmy was out, where he got to go ball out against Toronto and Orlando, but really didn't feel like he was going to be in the playoff rotation. For him to take that opportunity with all the injuries that were happening to Kyle Lowry, to others, really took advantage of that, and Spo really trusted him defensively by the end of things. There were games where he was very effective at getting to the free throw line. He still showed that ability to draw contact and was frustrating for opponents. Yeah, there are definitely some things that he has to sure up and fine-tune as far as getting his offensive rhythm back, but they really do just look like those things, like rhythm, like getting the timing of his moves back, the touch of his shot, the pace of knowing his teammates and some of those turnovers that happen. But those do look like things that can be fine-tuned and do look like, with reps with his team, with a true offseason to just get back his basketball skill set instead of getting his leg back together, that there's no reason why Victor Oladipo can't get back reminiscent to somewhat of what he was. But he even believes that he can be better than what he was.
But I truly believe that I can be better than I was. And that might sound crazy to everyone, but, I rather, have that mentality and, I can live with the results after that because I'm going to push myself to be that. But, if that happens, cool. You know what I'm saying? I think the biggest goal for me is to show everyone that I'm healthy and I can play a whole year. And also to show everyone that um, I'm one of the best players in this league. So everything else will take care of itself. And that's what I'm focused on.
Well, not the first time that he's mentioned something like that he truly believes that he can be better than what he was. And yeah, it does sound crazy. This guy was an all-star, star of a team, all that type of things. I think that for him to get back to that guy who is, a 20-plus a game scorer and leading the league in steals, these are the types of things that Victor Oladipo was putting up at his absolute peak. He is on the other side of 30, but I think you even see like the Heat do have a belief even in older players, and he's not old by any means, but even in older players, they believe that guys can fine-tune things, guys can get better, guys can really sharpen something. They believe that that's the case with Jimmy. Like Jimmy can still hit a level and hit some certain things, and I think we see that he certainly hits those crazy levels in the postseason, but I think they're always looking to fine-tune these guys and get them better. Victor Oladipo, never been the MO on him that he doesn't play hard. He's always been known as a defensive wizard and one of the best defenders in the league, always been known as a guy who works hard and things like that. But I think for him, he is trying to find his way back to stardom. And I am curious to know what the role is going to be like on this team. He did say that is going to come in a talk with Spo pretty soon.
I mean, I just felt like, Spo put me out there in game 7, just to go out there because I was playing very well defensively, making things happen for us on that end of the floor. And, I don't really know what next year brings. I really don't know. I'm supposed to be meeting with Spo a little later on in a couple of weeks when he comes back from Vegas. So I look forward to that meeting, that dinner. But I don't necessarily know what next year's looks like or feels like. But I do know I will be prepared for anything. So I'm going to prepare myself for any and everything. So that won't be something I'll be worried about going into training camp, is being prepared, because without any doubt in my mind, I know I will be. So whatever next year brings, I'll be ready for it.
And right now, I think that's a lot of that stuff is a mystery because you have the whole things that are going on right now. We'll get into the trade stuff in just a minute, but like, what is the team going to look like? What is that role going to be for Vic? I truly feel like, let's just say this is a run it back nature with what they got right now. All right, let's not play what if games if Donovan Mitchell's here or Kevin Durant. He's not going to be in those deals because it's a new contract. So let's just say right now the team is what it is. I think my initial instinct for this team is that Victor is going to be like that first guy who's coming off the bench and going to be the igniter and going to be the guy who is basically in the Tyler Hero role, because, and I'm doing this with the assumption that Tyler's back, I really do believe if you bring Tyler Hero back, he should start. I think that you got all you could out of him being the good soldier, with him being the guy who was perfect in that role, won Sixth Man of the Year, and who knows what's going to happen with the extension and all that. But let's just, again, say that this is a run-it-back nature and you are bringing back this Heat team. I do think it's time for Tyler Hero to start. I think that, okay, you tried it in his second year where he didn't have an off season and it didn't go fantastic. All right, that was 2 years ago. It's time to throw that one in the trash. And basically everybody has thrown that run-it-back year in the trash. But let's say that Tyler Hero comes back this year. I think that if this Heat team is going to be special and this Heat team is going to do what it did last year, the guys they're going to need leaps from are going to be from Bam, and they're going to need from Tyler. And I think for Bam, it's more of a jump. For Tyler, I think it's more of a leap. And I think that leap is the responsibility of, hey, you are the starter. You are looking as one of the faces of the franchise. You are the guy who is going to be going offensive punch and punch with Jimmy Butler. You had all those Kevin Durant rumors. You had all those Donovan Mitchell rumors. Hey, kid, this is your starting show. This is what you wanted. Boom, there it is for him. And maybe he'll thrive in it. And I also think because we didn't see this in the postseason, which was one of the more perplexing things, but because of his talent to shoot the basketball, which we all believe in with Tyler Hero, that him in that starting lineup just, I think basketball-wise, makes a lot more sense because of that ability he does have to have the three-point shot. I feel like if Victor was in the starting lineup and he were to start aside Kyle Lowry, Kyle, Jimmy, Vic, and Bam. I mean, Bam's practicing three-pointers in the UK. I mean, maybe he's going to come back and he's Chris Bosh. I don't know. But I think it's more likely to believe, all right, these aren't exactly known as the knockdown shooters. Some Twitter, would you start Duncan Robinson at the 4 at that point? And maybe that is where they would go to find something. I don't know. I think that the more natural place would be if Tyler Hero is back with this team, you put him in that starting lineup. And that would, for me, leave Victor Oladipo in that igniter role. I think it does a couple things. If that rest is for Jimmy, plays with Tyler Hero, we've seen that they don't have they believe that they could have a good chemistry together. I think if that and then if he is that go-to guy, it gives him that opportunity to kind of be in that starring role that Tyler Hero really flourished in. His ability to maybe slow down the game, getting free throws, and then maybe in certain matchups he's closing these games out because he is an absolute demon on defense, stealing basketballs, causing chaos, causing havoc. So I really think that he could thrive in that role. Is he going to be happy with that? I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about a guy who's saying that he believes he could be better than he ever was, maybe this is a guy who forces his way into the starting lineup and you have to play him with Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler, and all of a sudden, Vic is back to being everything that he wants to be. He opts out, gets his max deal and all that type of stuff that he's looking to get to. But just looking at it for right now, and where I think expectations should be of, hey, this is going to be his first full season of basketball, hopefully, in a very, very long time. Coming off the bench like that and being that first guy, that sixth starter, if you will, for Eric Spoelstra, because he likes to get cute with it. I think that's a good spot for Vic right now. But Spo really does believe in some ways that Vic is right. I mean, maybe he won't be better than he was, but certainly believes that he is going to be next level from where he was going into this.
For him to do what he did in this playoff run is really unheard of. Really, to have no regular season games and not have a base of weeks and months to get in a rhythm and a flow and test your health and then get into a rhythm. There was hardly any of that. He had some practices, starting in January, February, but we weren't practicing a ton, so it was mostly a bunch of work, behind the scenes. And then, the quickest way for him to find his rhythm was defensively. His instincts, once he got healthy, you saw his presence defensively and how impactful he could be. And then offensively, as the playoffs went on, that's how funny it is. Crazy. Like, he's getting in better rhythm, in the most pressure-packed moments. But yeah, he has not had that summer of work, and Vic has a great work ethic. I've seen him over the years. He's lived and worked in Miami. When he was healthy, I saw him work, and his capacity to work is extremely high. So he hasn't had a summer like this in probably 4 summers. Yeah, you're going to see a totally different Vic next year by the time he gets to training camp. He's going into the summer, physically able, to work at his craft, and he'll get back to the player that people are accustomed to seeing.
It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that meeting. And there's still a lot of chips that have to fall with this Heat offseason. It has been very quiet as far as the Kevin Durant stuff is concerned. Some of the reports that you read that where Brooklyn's at right now, like they apparently called the Timberwolves, or the Timberwolves called about Kevin Durant, and their response to it was they want Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and 4 first-round picks for Kevin Durant, which is just lunacy. It does make you wonder right now for the Heat standpoint, is this trade getting to an impossible level? especially after the Rudy Gobert trade. I really do think that messed a lot of things up in the eyes of everybody in value, because once Rudy Gobert goes for that many picks and they're already saying that they were looking for an established all-star, I just don't know where the Heat go as far as the treasure trove, the big prize. You know, it would at that point seemingly have to include Bam, but if the place where they're at is Bam Adebayo even enough to get Kevin Durant? Not that you want to trade him, because I feel like the whole point for me of trading for Kevin Durant is to add Kevin Durant to Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. I feel like if you have that trio, you are the favorite in the East. You are an absolute title contender. And that would be the point of trading for Kevin Durant. If you trade Bam Adebayo in a Kevin Durant trade, I don't know if you're a title contender. I really, really don't. I think that you've taken off one of the most reliable parts of your team. And this isn't a Bam versus Kevin thing. This is just having enough to solidify yourself as the champion, solidify yourself as the favorite in the East. And I feel like if you're lopping off one of your best players, the guy that you could play basically every minute in a game 7, right? When it came down to a game 7, Jimmy's playing every minute, Bam's playing every minute except for like 90 seconds in that game. These are the people that you relied upon in a key series. If you don't add Kevin Durant to that, then you're adding him to question marks. You're adding him to an aging Kyle Lowry. You're adding him to a maybe not ready Tyler Hero. You're adding him to, you know, maybe a Victor Oladipo who didn't come back all the way. I just feel like, what is the point of making the home run cut of Kevin Durant if you don't have him next to your 2 established stars? And I feel like the Wolves are probably thinking that same thing. What is the nice young piece that we could give you and the haul of picks that we can give you? Like, what is you got your A piece, you got your A minus piece. Like, what, you got your 1 piece, your 1 A piece. What, can we give you your 2 to get Kevin Durant? And right now, it just seems like on where the Nets are with this pissing match with Kevin Durant, it's just, we're kind of doing trade talks, but they're asking for the moon, which they have every right to do. But like, is it realistic that a deal is going to get done, or are they going to go into an offseason that's super uncomfortable? For me, I look at this team and I'm saying to myself, like, what can the Heat do to add to this rather than exchange? Because I do think that that's where it felt like it was with Bam and Jimmy. Those guys need the reliable third add there. Maybe that's going to be Tyler Hero maturing. Maybe that's going to be Kyle Lowry healthy, but maybe that could be Kyrie Irving. Maybe that could be Kevin Durant. And maybe it could be Donovan Mitchell. Who knows? As far as Donovan Mitchell's concerned, apparently the talks right now are he will not demand a trade from the Utah Jazz. I don't really know what to make of that. Okay, so he's not going to go out there and officially demand a trade. But apparently there are also reports that he was going to go and see what was up with management and why they're making the moves that they are. I think for Donovan, still young in his career, so I think it's probably a little bit early for the old asking out thing. And he did just sign a huge deal, and I think that he's got a friend in Dwayne Wade in ownership, so I think that probably makes things uncomfortable for him to do such a thing as well. But that report to me didn't exactly nuke the idea that he could be traded. I think it's just the idea that Donovan Mitchell's not going to be sitting here speeding it up, because he's probably seeing what's happening with Kevin Durant. They're like, well, if Kevin Durant can't force his way out whenever he wants at the snap of a finger, then who the hell am I to ask for a trade right then and there and on the way out? We both just signed contracts, so I think that's probably what's going on there. But as far as this news, because there's been a pretty quiet week aside from reintroducing Victor Oladipo and Caleb Martin getting his new deal. It's been pretty quiet in Heatville, so we'll see if things crank up over the weekend.